It's Hockey! And welcome to Alone, the podcast, where we always live outside normal expectations. How we doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Oh yeah. This is a special episode. I'm calling this the Moon Card. We're going to do some shadow work today. Got my bestie here, my brother from another mother, 20 years plus. To come talk about it. He know a little bit more about it than I do, but for those who don't know nothing, shadow work by definition, or one of the definitions, is working on your subconscious mind to uncover parts of yourself that you repress and hide from yourself. You know what I'm saying? Things in your past that you go through that you don't even know are significant in the things how you're reacting to the things of today.
Pretty much, yes, sir. And then kind of to elaborate on that, shadow work is said to be one of the most authentic paths to enlightenment. Shadow work exposes parts of you that have needed healing from adolescence, parts of you that are far from perfect, that have possibly led to abandonment issues, repression, attachment issues, deep-rooted insecurities, etc. So, I mean, we can all relate to some of those things kind of involuntarily or voluntarily. You know, we quick to say, such and such tripping or they got baggage issues and such. But, like, how many times, do people actually account for that? It's easy to, come to the bottom line, but never actually, what led to that. And so that's what shadow work ultimately is on a kind of more layman's term. Just really getting to know your darker aspects and integrating that. It ain't nothing to be ashamed of. Whatever you went through, it happened.
It's the whys. It's the whys. So for me, it's the whys. Like, the type of person I am, for like anybody who follows numerology, my life path number is 7. So like, I like to get to the core of stuff, figure how stuff works, why it is. So shadow work to me was like doing that to myself. I did it with like electronics and mechanical stuff, but now shadow work is doing it with me. Like, it's taking me, breaking me apart, putting all the pieces in front of me so I can analyze and figure out, why does this tick this way? Why does this work this way? And that's why I feel like I want this episode right now to happen, because it's such an important aspect. Like I said, one of the most important way to enlighten yourself and move forward. You know what I'm saying? To get to that best version of you. That's all I'm ever about. Like, it's getting to the best version of you.
I agree. So would you say like you said that's your personal
That's why I feel like shadow work is important. Like, do you like why do you feel like you come into this? Because you came into this before I did.
Man,
I mean, how did you how did you kind of stumble upon shadow work?
when you look back, you really kind of stop questioning so much coincidence, and you see how everything kind of added up, kind of led you exactly where you need to be. Long story short, shadow work to me has always been, I think, an extension of kind of what I've innately done. I've always been a little bit curious. I've always been a little bit probing. I've always wanted to understand friend and foe on a personal level, and through that and understanding and sometimes pushing wrong buttons and poking the bear, if you will, has led to breakthroughs in other people, and it's always caused me to kind of reflect and I kind of put myself in their shoes. I say, for better or for worse, I've been empathic in that nature, so I've always like apply whatever I see to myself, and then from there we can temper out some sort of lesson or silver lining. But for me, like, shadow work, it started off just kind of me talking to others, and just kind of discovering the differences and then applying that self basically to myself. If I had to get real specific, I got some notes in here. I mean, no, just kind of I touched on it. It's really just like the ultimate form of reflection, I love to, like you said, you want to temper yourself. I think at the end of it all, we all want to be better people. We don't want to plateau, jobs and fitness and health may, but we always push, for better.
I think in a sense, thinking about it just now, like I think like I think we all kind of do a sense of shadow work. Like at least I can say myself. Like even back in the day, I used to always ask like myself like, why did I do that way? Definitely being judged by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I'm saying. When I get judged, I always like, damn, well, why did they feel that way about me, or why this and why that, why this and why that? And in my mind, I was put in it was put in a negative light as a weakness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, oh, you as a man, you're not supposed to question these things. You're just supposed to stand up. You know what I'm saying? You don't have these type of emotions. Like you don't feel down about yourself. You're a man. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
That seems like almost a segment kind of into that next section about like the shadows themselves. Like we talked about what shadows is, what shadow work is, and like kind of getting off into what you're talking about, like what situations or scenarios that kind of like created the shadow work that we are working on, kind of like in the here and now.
Mm-hmm. I think the first one that kind of, I think the first situation that kind of pegged the biggest question was relationships. And I don't want to just say like man and woman either, because I had a problem with relationships. It was just odd for me, like, because I wasn't a per se like awkward kid. I wasn't a typical kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I wasn't per se like awkward and wrong things, stare at you, big eyed, drooling. Like, I didn't do that type of weird stuff, but I was not the same as most of the other kids. So, growing up, like, it took a while. It did take till love interest for me to start asking, like, why am I keep getting these? What is happening that I'm arguing with women? I see other people go in relationships and they may be arguing with each other, but it'll be like over fast.
You find their way back to each other somehow.
And it seems like I get, as soon as mine hit the get off tracks, it's like nobody even try. There's no way to bring it back on track. So it made me question like who I was, and I found a lot of interesting takes in it. Like, and I don't want to get too far into that. Cause I want to know, like, what was the first incident that kind of made you question it? I'm basically what I'm saying, that made you start really questioning, like, why this situation happened.
I think, like you said, it's those patterns. Once you kind of find yourself in the same situation, or the same job, or the same financial struggle, or whatever, you start to dissect like the pieces and the components into like your situation. And I think it's through that you really burst through that like proverbial glass ceiling, and you want a better outcome. You want a better situation for yourself, and then that sparks you to look within. You done went out and you done tried every escape. You done partied or kicked it, did whatever your little vice is, and you still kind of here. And so it forces you, there's literally nowhere else left to turn, but kind of it forces you inward.
You know
and
how
from
they
there
say,
you can pump out some
you know
results.
how they say, when you do the same thing and expect a different result, that's insanity. That's the definition of insanity.
That's right.
And I think we don't think about it deep enough, because sometimes like we'll say like I would say I tried going to school. I tried this job. I tried construction. I tried factory. I tried call center. I tried you know what I mean? It ain't too much I haven't tried. But where I feel like I was repeating the cycle was my mind state. Like I was going in every situation saying like this was just to make ends meet. Yeah. It was just gonna make ends meet. I'm just trying to pay this bill or that bill, and I wasn't never giving myself a different mindset to get, and then it creates the insanity. Now that's when you start beating yourself in the head, like, dang, how am I still here? How am I still here? Because your mind hasn't changed. So literally, you're still actually doing the same thing, and so you fall into this insanity role.
Yeah, I think that's what shadow work is catching that habitual auto-programming taskmaster mind in its tracks and be like, no, we need a different approach. We'll find safety in that insanity. A lot of times we'll know we're kind of going in a dead end situation, but we'll know, well, hey, it's going to keep me off the streets, or it's going to keep me in that lower. It's always, somebody who's got it worse or whatever. Could be worse.
It's the known. It's the known.
It's the known. It's the safe. It's the secure. So even though you fucking hate it, like you know,
and you know it's
the
destructive.
outcome.
You know what I'm saying? You will do it because you it's the no. Like, and that's another thing I want to put. Like, a lot of shadow work will make you uncomfortable with a lot of different shit. Even like how you've been to other people, how you've been to yourself. Like, it will make you uncomfortable because it makes you ask the really hard question. And shadow work is the time to be hard on yourself. Be petty with yourself. Tell yourself, like, you're mad at, okay, back to what I was saying about the relationships. Now, I used to argue with women a lot. Now, you say what you want. Simp, you
still rock my mind with the whole concept. I'm still hyper vigilant.
Yeah, like
sim shit. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. So I argue a lot. You know what I'm saying? It made me look weak or whatever. I don't care, but it bothered me because a lot of times when we was arguing, this is not relationship detrimental things. These are not like life altering things. We arguing about little shit like crumbs and shit, like, oh, we arguing about who picks up more plates than the other person. You know what I mean? Like, how?
Honestly, and this could be a whole nother station, and I'm speaking from from the person that I guess was on the other side. I guess the one that was being, I guess, the nitpicker. In two different scenarios, I couldn't blame it if it was the people. I think between the combination of the people that you're dealing with, I was dealing with, and the growth that I had in between, people be over it. People be mad about it without knowing it, and acting out of this attitude and impulse, and not really like, it's like their mind hasn't caught up with their actions yet. And then once they kind of meet at that conclusion, then a decision can be made, a relationship can end, or whatever.
And I made a lot of, but in that same perspective of figuring this out, I kind of started, in the process of figuring it out, I started thinking about it, like, why am I so, because it's not like we're arguing and it's like, we're arguing. It's not the arguing that's bothering me. It's where it takes me.
Oh, for sure.
How like attacked I be feeling, like my pride. I'm like, this girl lay out with me every day. You know what I mean? This girl lay out with me every day. Why am I so mad that we don't have to agree? And I know this, but I still let it get me that mad. And I blew my mind when I realized that, God rest her soul, and I love my mom to fucking death. But everybody who knew her growing up knew she was a hard woman. Built like diamond. Did not take no shit. And in her house, her word was it. Like, nigga, get your skin slapped off if you thought you had an opinion around this motherfucker. So, you know what I'm saying? So, growing up, being, on the same retrospect, the same other side of the coin, she taught me to speak my mind. She told me not to let people suppress how I feel. You know what I'm saying? She even was the one that kind of was more on the, like, men cry, because she was a female, like, so, you know what I'm saying? But because of that, I understood, like, now I understood, because she was such a powerful woman. When I get into it with women I'm in a relationship with, I can't allow you to have that power over me. I can't allow you to make me feel like I did, because you don't have that power. You're not allowed to put me in this small space. My mom could, because she birthed me. This is the respect I had to give to her, the hierarchy in our family tree. But in my household, I'm supposed to be the top of the tree.
And that's what shadow work is. It's really the grown version of us running around trying to lick the wounds and right the wrongs of the younger us. Because in some way, these dealings and these interactions that we're having with people and our lovers and our coworkers and stuff, they're triggering the injustices of the past. The ones that got away. The ones that, oh, we should have set up. I wasn't strong enough to stick up for myself. Or I wasn't old enough. I had to stay in my place. Or whatever the case. And soon as something even remotely takes you just into that emotional frequency, you trigger. And not even so much back to the past, but as an adult now who can assert themselves. And it comes out like floodgates because it's repressed and it hasn't been healed or dealt with or whatever the case. And that's the beauty of shadow work, because when you actually kind of get to the bottom of it, and you could be dealing with people in your life, there's some hard cases, there's some bitches, but they are just hurting. Just hurting. We all just hurting, at the end of the day.
And you don't realize how bad you're hurting for real, because especially in the black community, black men, you're built like every day is like testing your armor. You know what I mean? So you built tough. So it's to go back and figure out the weaknesses that make me. Because you gotta understand, when you give things the power to alter your state of mind like that, you give it your weakness. You expose your weakness to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people like, well, shit, I just read this on Facebook. I've read it a whole bunch of times. Y'all don't like who I am. It's just who I am. I'm gonna always be this way. That's a lie. You're not. Or at least it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be growing. You're supposed to be figuring out how to find peace. Because regardless of what it is we talk about or this and that, and getting these shadows out is to find peace. Because like a lot of the time our blockages are we've had, how they say when you get in a car accident you might not feel the back pain till years later. This is that.
Yeah.
This is that. This
it's like trauma shit. It's really shit that you can literally, and you don't even have to consciously do it. Your subconscious like got the whip. Like, no, this is traumatic as fuck. Bury this. Like you can literally forget memories. You can forget how shit went down. It could be that traumatic to you.
Yeah.
The most integral memory get plugged, bloop, and you really the tape will skip. It will go from you'll skip out
You'll skip whole years, section of your life. But like a thing I want to mention is like, man, sit down and have a conversation with your ego. Have a conversation with your ego. It's not a bad thing in most situations, because what it's doing is protecting you from
ego
past pain.
He want to make sure all that shit dirty in the past don't happen.
Never happen again. But the only way to really make sure it don't happen again is figure out why we're here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why it takes me to this place. Why, like, even in the serial killer world, they try to figure out why he's doing the things he's doing, because it helps them get in the mind to understand where he's going from there, why his decisions are his decisions. You have to do these things. Like, I want you tell me about a shadow you might we were talking the other day, didn't you have a shadow come out the other day?
Man,
I can't even really remember right now. We were talking about it the other day. We were talking about it.
So many shadows. Okay, so yeah, like, I kind of came upon the realization just in regards to just being so empathic to the point of having to like just almost suck all the air out the room with like conversation or conversate in the absence of conversation, like trying to fill that awkward void or just having to be on standby to just.
Like not able to sit in the silence.
Yeah.
Around,
like,
at least around people.
Right. Like I'm cool by myself. Like weird as hell, lost in the book.
I think I get the same way. I think I get the same way.
You have this compensation era. Like people come around you and you feel, okay, well here they come. They've come around me. They were expecting something, or so I must accommodate this, if nothing else, through like some sort of conversation or whatever, or just making sure time is used wisely, and sometimes it's not even necessary. Like you do it as compensation. Like, well, if I don't say anything, like what happens? Like you just really, or I should say, I really just came to the conclusion that sometimes like I don't let people just stew in whatever the moment is, like, or I don't stew in the moment. Like I can't be quiet enough to just let the moment just be.
I just thought
I'm too much of a host. I'm too much in host mode. That like, are you comfortable in your silence? Like I just can't let like just be sometimes. Like, but I definitely realize that like there's no need to always like compensate and
where you think that come from though?
Just like a fear. Like I think it can go as far as like abandonment. Like, oh my God, at the end of the day, if I'm not interesting and exciting to this person, they won't be my friend anymore.
Right.
You know, or it could be, yeah.
But what do you think? I mean, in the shadow work is about getting to that depth.
Ultimately, being empathic, I feel I just don't like. I think it stems out more out of uncomfortability. I soak up people's like embarrassing moments. I like to shift the attention if shit gets awkward, in so a sense, and that's why I feel like that hostess thing is like, okay, this is uncomfortable. Let's shift it or try to facilitate situations that don't always need to be facilitated.
See, I mean, you just got me thinking about it too, because I think like I definitely do this when it comes to like dates.
Yeah, me too.
Like if I'm like I'm around somebody, like I'm attracted to her, we trying to talk.
Especially in the beginning, you got to come off like interesting and like, oh my, you're so spontaneous but focused and driven, and like we call it running the campaign. You know, you gotta be like on your, I guess in the shit in some sense, but.
You know what crazy though? What happens with me is that I get so in my head about like being entertaining, nothing's happening.
Oh no! See now, I can spit out
like,
something.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh
like,
no!
I feel like, damn,
that's
don't be
like
awkward.
in those shows.
Like, damn, don't be awkward. Yeah, your day was cool today. Yeah. Gotta come on. You took too long. Now you gonna look like a creeper. Walk away.
Right.
Walk away. You know what I'm saying?
So abort.
But if I was to say like I would just dive into the shadow now, I would say that just comes from like always being turned down a lot. Like I'm even from like if I wasn't turned down, it was like the situation. Like I asked a girl to the dance when I was like 4th grade. She told me no, and then showed up to the dance with another dude. Couldn't find out she had a racist dad. Then I had another girl to go to the dance with me. As soon as we got to the dance, she left. That one, she was just trying to get to the dance. She could only go to the dance if somebody from my grade asked her. She was actually in a grade above me, but it was a 5th grade dance or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a 4th and 5th grade dance, and the 6th graders had their own dance.
Okay.
You know, so we old like that, you know, 6th grade. 6th grade still back then.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like back then days, like that's the type of things like when we talk about this shadow work, man, you gotta look back. It may be that far back, like shit like that, like
no.
And I think
sure.
that type of stuff kinda make me like it makes me feel like if I get the opportunity, I gotta drive it by the horns, like, and if I don't knock it out the park, I'm gonna lose. You know what I mean? So I know that kind of like I gotta be entertaining, but I get that stale though. You said at least you can spit
right.
I
can get some kind of banter going, but like I'm realizing like I'm hitting this wall of like, no, fuck that. I fuck two things. Fuck protecting the legacy of everything that you thought or everything that you came to Joseph White for, whether it's genuine or artificial, and just like fuck the expectation of constantly needing to avoid or make up for whatever lack you're providing. Sometimes I'll like drum a conversation like especially in the dating thing, especially you know me like I can pick it out like a book. If it's like, oh yeah, this is going nowhere. This is no conversation. Like so. But yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. I don't know. But shadow work, man. We always doing it. It ain't like something you can complete. You know what I mean?
No.
You never gonna like. You know what I'm saying? Be out of triggers.
Oh yeah.
It's always going, and you gonna grow new ones. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have stuff that bother you. And only difference now is your awareness will be higher, so the triggers won't be like so far back embedded. You know what I mean? Now you
Mm-hmm.
can catch them sooner. Like
Yeah.
now, like right now we doing the beginning of the work, so we literally digging deep as far deep as back as like me and my faith. And I ain't saying faith in. Cause we just that's my most recent shadow.
Yeah.
Is the faith, and we're not talking about religion because I believe there is a higher power. I think there's bigger. It's bigger than just us.
Mm-hmm.
But my faith in people, in so many retrospects. Motherfucker from my grandma's church put a gun on me.
Mm-hmm.
Mistaken identity. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was some whole other motherfucker talking about you think I'm playing about your money. I'm like, oh shit.
And then just ultimately the faith in yourself, like despite it all.
Like and that too. Like being growing up and not having like. I mean, it's not. My thing is this. I don't never blame things to say like it is these things ultimate fault for the reason I'm in the position I am.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives me an understanding of why my mind is at the place it is. So I can go from there. You know what I mean? So even on these podcasts, when I'm talking, I'm not sitting here to whine so people will be like, oh, we understand. Just, I don't give a fuck about that. You know what I mean?
Get the message
Like,
out.
so, like, yeah, in the past, they didn't really take to me. I was kind of like the black sheep. So when I did stuff, I creep people. I wasn't a weird person, but in my family, it was kind of like different. Like, we don't relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was never really accepted. And then when, like, I try to do it outside the family, it come off awkward because I don't have faith in myself. I don't have that
You ain't
confidence.
get to practice. At
Well,
the very least.
I did
like the
that,
practical practice, like, you know. No,
So-
I get that, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
like, it kind of it faith in myself, and I'm and best believe I worked hard as fuck growing up, and now that's another. Like, don't think a shadow work as being something dark either. Like, I don't want to
It's not
think
a
of it like,
demon.
yeah, like 'cause you can do some shadow work to bring more positivity too. Like when I think back, sometimes I think about like, so when I think about the shadow work, and I think about how like I played football and nobody said anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
When I played basketball, nobody really like told me about my dad or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like I go stick in that era and I think about I was a beast with nobody teaching me. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm like, bro, I became a man without a man giving me any advice. I just kept bumping my head because I learned the lessons. You know what I'm saying? Not many people can really say like they did it, and I ain't leaned on too many shoulders to kind of maintain my ground. You know what I mean? I grinded it out. I fought and I did hard, and when I think back on the things that do trigger me, I also think back on the things that got me here. You know what I mean? The things that kind of will change a lot of the reasons why triggers are there because you got some of these triggers because your confidence in certain things, you arguing with people because how you feel about your like you know how me and Molly, you know that was probably the longest relationship. That was the longest relationship I had. I can imagine if I could have put myself in a more wealthy person, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Self-worth.
Then we could have been a lot further. But I was so bad about myself about not having a job, by being broke and shit like that. You know what I mean? And I couldn't get out of it. But if I could have got out of it and you know what I'm saying, started learning a lot of these things earlier, you know what I mean? I think a lot of things would have been different. Not to say we'd have lasted or anything. I'm just saying, in them times, it really like I think that point in my life was kind of most. Was like kind of the hardest.
Are you looking back and laughing at it yet, though? Like, do you look back and like, huh, that's ironic? Or it's like, you know what? Ain't this a bitch?
No. No, it's. I laugh at it. I laugh at a lot of situations. ain't none of it I said like
I say this to say that like they're all lessons. They're all prepping you towards the end game, the final, the one, whoever it's gonna be like the lessons along the way. I cringe at some of the relationship mistakes that I made, but like I go back and like if I didn't do that with that, then I wouldn't have that, and then that made sense when I learned that, and like now the relationship I'm in now, it's like the patience that I learned with Jeremy. Like it's they're like motherfucking tokens that you like or badges that like makes you qualified to at least comprehend the relationship that you in. And not to say that no everybody like we just like sign, seal, deliver and riding off into the sunset. We got work to do like every couple. But like we in peace. And I feel like I'm in this relationship where I had lesser demons of the past to deal with because of the lessons that I learned from those other people. So like if you as long as you look at it as like she prepped you for the next one, you always hear that corny as me. I always feel like I'm the example that makes them better for the next one. Like as long as you treat them as like that she taught you something. Like the fact that you can look back at Molly and like okay yeah I know
but the crazy thing about it, like, look how far I had to go. Like, I had to go through a leap over hella bitches to get back to Molly to make her the example. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta think, like, okay, so when you say that brutal honesty,
you had it at the gate.
That's brutal honesty. Yeah. Brutal honesty in the shadow work. Like, since then, I kind of been feeling like I've been searching for a validation that I'm not getting. And I know that's not the way to go about a relationship, but I think that's a lot of, I hate to say failures, so like, I think that's a lot of my downfalls.
The lessons, the hard lessons.
Yeah, like, I think that was a big key to a lot of my downfall. Mm-hmm. But, I need to get out of that mindset of like, needing them to validate what I'm doing, because we talked about this, because this was shadow work we were doing about the faith, because like I know like I was for lack of better words a piece of shit in my early 20s when it comes to relationships. When it comes to relationships with women and shit like that. It wasn't lack of like my own logical reasoning behind it, but we're not getting into that. That's not no point. There's no excuse for this. Mm-hmm. So, but like they said, old dogs don't do tricks. You can't change a man. Like I feel like I'm direct proof of that. Like you can change a man. You can't change a man. A man can change. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? A man can change. Like I was that man that didn't care about relationships. And now I'm like, well, how do you expect a relationship to work if you keep doing this shit? So now I'm putting in this work and I'm still getting fucked up results. And I'm not looking at me. I'm not looking at the growth behind each thing like I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. We sitting here right now and I'm doing it.
Right.
But in situations, I can't keep that same mindset. So I'm looking for her to validate something that I should already have validated in myself. I'm a good man. I'm a good dad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because of them past experiences, I still kind of, you know what I mean? That's just the honesty of where I'm at right now. I'm single now.
I feel like you're learning relationships, like what you want in relationships, like for that one, but with this newfound respect. Like you've learned like the choice, the hard lessons and stuff of relationships, and I feel like now you're serious about relationships. When I say respect, it's like you're serious / respect. That's like interchangeable. Mm-hmm. But it's like at the same time, I think you're still trying to. Like, remember I always ask you, like, well, what does a relationship mean to you? Like, why the hell do you want it? Is it because, like, everybody's looking for it? It's a part of the game of life. You're supposed to get your significant other, get married, get a mortgage, have kids, die. Like, I mean, why are you doing it? You know, I think kind of once that's kind of highlighted and personified, and like without unwavering kind of boom boom. Like I think the I,
So,
yeah, I think it comes.
so do you think that's only? Do you think it can only happen if I become?
You have to have faith, and you have to know why you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. But okay, look, that's what I'm trying to say. So, do you think that a person can show you why you need something versus you actually figuring it completely out?
No, no, and that's another thing
That
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you gotta want it. Like I always like you have to fight slash want it. And if it gets shot down, if that's what you wanted, then you gotta fight. Like it's the Urkel equation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta fight until Laura says yes. But like no, I don't think like something's like it's like me and the moon. I don't do these ceremonies. I'm like, oh, it's the full moon, honey. All I gotta do is boom, and then Sailor Moon like twirl and
Yeah,
twirl.
right.
I got to show up and get that man. Just like yeah, she's gonna inspire you to go full speed ahead. Like regardless of what the hell she's fitting off. I mean, it's got to be some kind of reciprocation, granted, but like regardless of like what the work she's putting in you, I think you feel like you're owed up front like this level of I'm Jesse and like you gotta respect my legacy and the hardship that I've been through to get here. Damn it! It's
like, bro, like
no,
that's
nigga.
exactly what I'm saying.
No.
I feel like they, honestly, I'm waiting for them to validate something that they don't need to validate. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's whack. That's the thing about the my shadow work. I know sometimes this shit be off whack. I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like that's how we hear. That's how we gonna get. That's how we gonna get better.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's how we gonna get to that person that I need and something like that. And I'm in the process of figuring that out. Like this, man, shadow work is just so beautiful because it's like you can never just it's like a Pringle can. Once you open the can, you can never just pick out one.
You'll
shadow.
never just one. Probably like, oh, I saw the riddle
Yeah,
of
like, no.
the shadow of my, forgotten.
And then they just keep popping out. It's like a mystery pop too. Like, oh shit, I didn't even expect this one.
Right, you forgot that you had reserved.
But like, just what we talking about now, like a lot of this is I just thought of that live. Like when you was saying that, like you was asking like what do you want from a relationship and shit like that. Like I'm just thought about all that now. Like because when I was in my relationship, like I know I learned stuff, but I still went to the next relationship thinking that when I did it, this gonna automatically praise me.
Like
that ain't usually how it works. Like I'm just gonna have to keep. And that's another thing I want to say. Talk about. I want to bring up too, just because we was on the subject. Is like, this person gonna inspire you to give your all and shit like that. How do you? Cause I felt like I could say it was at least twice I felt like I felt that. Now one time I didn't do it. I know I didn't. I felt it, but I'm talking about the first time. I'm talking about I bailed like a motherfucker. Like,
stop that hard.
But that was some years, and that was some years and some effort to go.
Mm-hmm.
But another time where I really felt like I had somebody that was willing to learn with me and grow with me, and she played a game. Like, you know what I'm saying? It ended up being Lover's Lane, like. I dated Tamika and shit, so. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, you got.
I really did. I dived in. Like, I was dedicated to being the man of that house.
But then what happens when you got scored or when y'all hit the rough patch?
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, nigga, see.
But no. You gotta think, we didn't hit no goddamn rough patch. That bitch drove us off a cliff. Because, like, it was a rough, you gotta think, it was a rough patch at the beginning. Because she lost her job. I gave her no shit about it. I worked my ass off to maintain that house. She got to argue with me and telling me I was leaving 2 more plates around than she was. I said, well, I'm going to work 2 more days than she was. And I was just saying, all I was trying to put in perspective that a relationship is one pie, not 17 pies that y'all divide evenly. No, like it's one pie. Everything's in it. If I'm doing more of this, you do a little more of that. When I'm doing more of this, you doing more of that. And I'm still coming home at night and in the morning because we work night. I work night, coming in the morning, cleaning up the kitchen, cooking breakfast, getting her kids and my kids ready for this and that, taking them to school and shit, this and that. So like, I forgot where I was going, how we even got there right now.
Getting more just like off and. Like,
oh yeah, lovers very big. Like, because like you were saying when the shit got shaky, what did I do? And I said I bailed, but no, I stuck it out. Like I didn't just bail when the shit. She drove us off a cliff, is what I was explaining.
Yeah.
And then after that, like she would do dumb shit. Like not, I would say dumb shit. She would just do shit that wasn't conducive to like a growing relationship. Like I dropped her off at a funeral. She came. Matter of fact, I didn't even see her till the next day. I dropped her off at noon. I didn't see her till like the next day. I worked at night. I didn't work till 11, but I didn't see her the rest of the day. Talked to her the next day. I come home. We just smoke. I don't pester her. I'm not one of them guys. I don't pester you. I don't. I'm like, oh, bitch, texting, calling you 75,000 times because I always believe no matter what you do, a person gonna do what they gonna do. But, yeah, just trying to talk to her about the situation. She didn't want to talk about it, so the shit got shaky. When I came home and she hadn't been home for 3 days, I was done then. Yeah. That's when the breakup actually happened. The only reason I stuck around because she had 2 kids and I was the only one with a job.
At that phase, though, like, was y'all in love? Like, or was y'all just...
I thought so.
Y'all was hitting it off. We got bomb sex. Like,
like I thought we was.
Okay.
In my mind, I thought
y'all
we
say?
was.
What do you mean you thought? See, that's
like no. We said it to each other, but saying it is nothing. Words mean really nothing for real.
You gotta follow through with that.
You know what I mean? So like, but we was saying it, and I thought I was doing the things that a man in love would do. You know what I mean? Like I was acting like I was in love, buying flowers and shit.
But you ain't fight for it. Like she wasn't worth. Like once I guess she tainted the possibility of infidelity. It was like
she been tainted it. She had been tainted it.
Oh Lord. Oh yeah, with the whole job situation and like kind of leading up to the whole like gone for 3 days.
No, bro. Like before that.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, when she lost the job, she was gone. She had left. She said she was going to a job interview. She was downtown. Said she was on her way home. I didn't see her for 6 hours. Didn't hear from her. She said, her friend drove past her and picked her up, and they went and had they was riding around smoking.
I remember those crazy stories.
Riding around smoking. Like, wait, first off, bitch, you at the transit. Who the fuck drives past the transit? Oh, I just happened to see you while I was driving past the transit. Like, what the fuck? And then, like, you talking about you going all this time, y'all was just riding around smoking. Who got gas like that? Who just driving them wasting gas? Like, that type of, you know what I'm saying? She been killed the fidelity. I tried, bro. Yeah. I tried.
Okay. So, yeah, it's going to have to be, because I don't blame you. Like, I'm definitely not going to stick around once cheating is kind of whipped out and stuff, too. So,
my thing, it wasn't the cheating. It wasn't the infidelity that kind of that gets me. It's the inability to understand. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Inability
That's the thing we talk, like, give me the decency of a decent mind.
Yeah,
like give me the respect. Like, try to... Stay in character, bitch.
Come on, man. Play me like I'm stupid, it makes it worse, man. That's all it is. Give me the respect that I ain't no dumbass motherfucker, man. That's all I ask. Shit. Like, you gotta think, like.
But just imagine what her shadows must be, man.
Oh,
like,
no.
If she's so reckless in the daylight, like, man, in the shadows, man, imagine how much, like, when we talk about, like, your conscious mind, taskmaster, like, how much is actually her versus strings of the past, yo. Like when you that reckless.
But the thing is, she ain't stick around. If she can stick around long enough for me to help her find out. Shit. Women be talking that guy and shit. They don't want nobody to guide. They just want a motherfucker to help their current situation. That's my fault, my mental situation, and that's why when I go to a situation and it's like I go to a certain validation. Like if they don't validate that, I know the bitch ain't shit. Yeah. But that's why I haven't. Why you think I'm not like?
It's that faith, and I don't even think just like a faith in you. Like I think just the faith, not only with that faith in like yourself, kind of just like whatever the world doing, but like the faith to like,
like,
yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, I tell, like, girls that I even, like, this happened in high school. I ain't even gonna say her name. But I was messing with a girl in high school, right? And she called me one day and was like, I think I'm in love with you. I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop talking to you for a while.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Oh, problem with intimacy. We was talking about that in our little chakra chart level and stuff earlier and stuff like that. But that, I mean, it just goes to say that like everybody, like no matter how pristine or good is looking on the outside, like we all got our work to do, and like left unchecked, yo, like how much of this life is really like present. Like you'd be surprised just taking a little time to look inward that you realize just how much of yourself is just victims and puppets of the past. Like you can,
literal puppets.
Yeah.
Literal puppets. Like you hear sometimes you tell yourself like I don't even know how it happened. I don't even know how we got here. Because literally you were an autopilot just based off of some stuff you went through in the past. Your body is like, nope, this is what we're going to do about this time. So
I tell you all the time with my peach rings. Like, I was like, oh man, I need to chill out in bed. And then like I'm already in the car. It's like I already got them in my mouth. I'm not supposed to be buying this candy. Like
everybody,
autopilot.
Everybody
away.
who quit smoking, shadows. Everybody who quit smoking probably go through that whole like, oh, I ain't gonna buy no tobacco this time. I ain't gonna buy no mild this time. Like, and I just recently quit. I'm like 6 months in now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 6 months in now. No. 4 months. 4 months. I ain't gonna give myself. I ain't gonna exaggerate myself. But anyway, you know how many times I go in the store like, oh, I ain't getting no mild. I done went 2 days. I'm good. I'm good. Go in the store, be in the car jamming out. Hey, nigga, that was some good ass smoke. Fuck did where this mild come from? Freaked and everything. Like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Who snuck this in my hand? Motherfuckers sneaking mouths and motherfucking shit.
Dude, I feel like that's like a whole nother almost sub-chapter, like devices you develop.
Oh,
well, those are like the consequences of like unchecked, what's the name? It's like when yeah.
Oh, shit. Shit, we didn't even shit. Can't let that podcast go off without talking about Saturn's return, because you brought that up to me the other day.
Yeah, okay, so and right on time, because we're talking about leaving shadows unchecked. So basically, and astrologically speaking, you know, we got the planet Saturn in the sky, and Saturn is basically the planet of lessons. It's considered like the teacher of the astrology, you know, charts and whatnot. And it's this thing that goes on basically called Saturn's return, and basically it marks where Saturn basically coming back to exactly where the spot was at where you was born. And that roughly takes 27 to 29 years, but it coincides with major life-altered events, life-changing events, kind of everything's swept under the rug is going to come at you. It's like Mercury retrograde on crack. But like basically Saturn's return is basically the cosmic way of doing shadow work. So like whatever you ain't going through, and there's a whole excerpt that I kind of did on just our emotional development, and as we start from early age and moving on through our adolescence and on to our adulthood, how we pass through the chakras and how they correlate with different types of emotional blockages that can accumulate if we ain't in our right emotional or physical environment, depending.
Don't get a lot of people who not like very esoteric. Don't get caught up in like chakras and stuff like that, because in a sense it's all like you throughout your development growing up. You know how it is for people who don't have certain what's it called nourishments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like certain teaching, certain like, you know how a kid is who has no parenting versus a kid who has parenting versus a kid who has two parents.
The advantage, you see physical advantages, but there's so much emotional, psychological
That's what I'm
advantages
saying.
and disadvantages coming along with that.
Yeah. So like all through these stages, and I like how the chakras is because it's. I mean, if you're not into it, and I'm gonna have a podcast about numerology. We're gonna talk more about chakras, but if you don't, just kind of look into it. Just take a gander into it because a lot of it, like even if you don't fully kind of like say like, oh, I believe this. Like a lot of motherfuckers
You
have read the
believe
Bible.
it. You bro said you mess with it anyway.
Mhm.
Energy. Oh, I don't fuck with her. She got bad energy. That nigga got big dick energy. Like
Mhm.
we fuck with. It's a part of our pop culture and our subconscious already. Chakras ain't nothing but energy centers. That's within our body. So if you fling frivolously the word energy, then it's worth the listening or worth the looking into, or whether you believe it or not, you fucking with it. So.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so,
another podcast.
But yeah, man. I think we got a lot out. But do we talk about dealing with any of these? Like how would you go about like dissipating the shadow? Like how I don't know.
Well, that's
you
what kind of
can't
Saturn's return was in a sense. But no, we do need to talk about like that. How do we do like just us as individuals? This was just cosmically
like
dealing with
because
us.
you gotta think. I say that especially for like us right now because we're finding out about Saturn's return now, and we're 37.
Right, so we already went through.
We already went through one.
But looking back, boy, it doesn't add up.
Yeah, it does add up and shit like that. But during the time working up to the next Saturn's return, we're not gonna sit around and just wait for it to give us the test, right?
56 to 60. So.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're not. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna. Now that we know what Saturn's return is, we need to start prepping for the test.
Right.
Now, so I'm saying, how do we?
Because it can also be a life changing for the better. You know,
exactly.
It always culminates in marriage, divorce, big loss job. Because we set up to fail. Nobody knows how to deal with these emotions. We don't talk. We don't deal internally.
I think it's proportionate. Okay, because when we was talking about ours, before the podcast started, we was kind of just chit chatting. Mine happened when I got custody of my son. Great. Lost my job. Lost my car first. Had to start riding a bike fucking miles to work.
Yeah, that's like a true up, man.
And then like lost my job. Had a wonderful son. This motherfucker making dad looking easy. Being a parent looking easy. You know what I'm saying? But we struggling financially. So like I say, I think it's proportionate based off the work you've done throughout the time before Saturn's return. So that's why I'm saying like now about like dealing with the shadows.
So wait, I'm sorry, how did you think like, what's your like, I guess, culmination of that? Like how do you feel about your Saturn's return? Like you said you filled out like.
I think I won.
Yeah, okay.
Like I feel like
I think we talked about that off camera about.
Yeah. But no, I do. I feel like I won because I saw a tank I could have drowned in. I'm like I could have drowned. I'm like I could have.
The same way in Texas.
You know what I'm saying? I could have literally been like pursuit of happiness, bro. Me and my son, like, bro, like. Oh my God, like I'm almost emotional for real, like, bro, like, cause, like, bro, like. That's why I celebrated 36 like I did because I thought about I was celebrating all of that because like it came back again, like it was like the longest Saturn's return because like remember the court cases came back, all this shit that I didn't nip in the bud, like that's what another thing about shadow work, like if you don't nip it in the bud, it's going to come back. Like
it's coming back vicious. Kicking your door down.
You think you just shuffle it to the side?
She ain't gonna just sashay from up under the rug. That bitch is knocking your shit down, like.
So like yeah, I definitely feel like I won on that side. So but this time, I want to be more prepared. You know, like playing a level up video game.
I want to be over it.
I want to be over it. Overkill. Like
one such. No. Oh shit! Like. Yeah, all the hit points.
Right? Real, like, so that's what I'm saying. I want to level up. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I wanted to say, like, how to deal with a shadow. But I actually was coming up with kind of a list of things. You know, I'm not the expert in shadow work, but I just was thinking, like, one of the big things I put in play about shadow work is awareness. I
Mm-hmm.
think your awareness starts there. Because as soon as you acknowledge that you're aware, your awareness turns on. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take practice, nothing. Like awareness is immediate. So once you're aware of these issues, then you can start to. What my second thing is identify the source.
Mm-hmm.
Identify like why these triggers are happening, why it's taking you to the place that you are, and I got rate the importance because like when we talk about like, all right, that's my son.
Mm-hmm.
I got some pizza. Anyway, but rate the importance because like yeah, shadow work. Everything in shadow work is important, but not everything is gonna give you direct answers. Like it's something I know in my life that I'm not gonna be able to go to and just ask like why or
Mm-hmm.
this and that. I have to find it like we were talking about. You have to find faith in yourself. That's what that faith in yourself because other things that you have to go through and you've gotten through. So I know there's a lot of things in people's lives that like some of the stuff you can do, like people have been done wrong by people. You can go ask that person directly if you feel like that's what it needs for you to heal from that. But when I say rate the importance, it's the importance to you. Do you think this thing? How bad is this affecting your life? You know what I mean? Now, if it's something that's like not detrimental, you don't need to, but you still have to find a way to get past it. You can't allow it to sit there.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to do something about it, but you have to find the importance of how you need to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then game plan, because we're talking about nuances that your body, like we said, like you think your mind and what you're thinking is in control, but it's not always what's in control. So you have to game plan. You have to like nobody becomes the ultimate monk meditator the first time they sit down and cross their legs. See, a lot of times, the first time you sit down and cross your legs, hurt like a motherfucker.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to game plan to and be serious, to be really tell yourself like we're making these changes and we are going to get better. You know what I
Being
mean?
mnemonic about it definitely helps. Just like we've been over years conditioned and programmed with all the doubts and the fears and anxieties that we face day to day. As you start to rewrite that internal dialogue in your head, what you surround yourself by, who you surround yourself by, definitely helps in gaining that. I kid you not, that damn red brick, the folks that give you that money in my job to do the counseling, like we talked about, like all of that, like yeah, man.
Yeah, but, man, but you gotta do it. I'm just saying it's just one of them things like if you don't figure out what and why is the things are holding you back, how do you expect to get anywhere? You know what I'm saying? Because our past make us who we are. We always say like you don't take your past forward, but subconsciously like you can't tell your subconscious that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell your subconscious that trauma was in your past and it ain't useful now. Like
and the sad part is your body can't tell the difference. So whether you actually going through it or thinking about it, your body replicate the same chemical reactions.
Exactly. That's
irregardless.
And
so you better deal with it.
Uh-huh.
Because you could be killing yourself.
Just because don't think just because you ain't verbally saying nothing, it ain't affecting you. It's probably killing you faster.
Oh yeah.
But
shadow work. So we was talking about like how to deal with it. I feel like you did make the plan. Like, do you think shadow work, other than like what are ways or how
ways of like game
expressing or how? Because I feel like shadows need to express themselves or need however you come out. Like how we were talking about how you and do this podcast kind of journey, like you've been finding and kind of coming face to face with like some aspects that you're like,
yeah,
like, and with me and just like whether it's dream journaling or like learning my new little tarot, bit and whatnot, like ways, like so. I mean, however you go through it, or however you choose to acknowledge it, I feel like your thorough game plan in regards to kind of acknowledging the shadows is definitely thorough. Like, but like, I'm just curious, like, how would you go about, or how could we go about, like, I guess getting
like a general game plan, or like a
or how could people maybe do doing shadow work and not even maybe realizing it? Like, is it through like your gardening or like through your Thursday night karaoke at the club? Like, whatever is making you feel good, whatever I think brings you the closest to your innocence, your inner child. So you ain't gotta even be hit to even know what shadow work is, or like about the steps and the chakras and stuff like that. If you out there just doing what nurtures your feel good nature, what makes you feel like, oh man, I ain't feel like this since I was a kid, or I ain't take the time since, like, that could be your shadow work. So in addition to seeking it internally, also acknowledge your body, because essentially there's a mental, a physical, and a spiritual. So acknowledge what makes your body feel good. It ain't always what we putting in our mouth, but what brought us that innate happiness, and you may be well on your way down that shadow work path.
Yeah. Like I like that, like shadow work. I like that perspective. Shadow work without even really knowing it. And if you,
cause that's kind of what got us here. Like we were on the path, and then there's a name for it, like and then bingo, and then
I think, and I think if you're a person that asks yourself why, I think you're already at the cusp of shadow work.
Yeah.
If you're the type of person that says like, why am I, or why did I, or why is this for me? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I think you're already on the cusp, because if you saying that, you already want better for yourself. You see what I'm saying? Like, people don't question things they don't want to change.
Yeah.
You know
And the sad part is, like, people know, it's like you want better for yourself, but like you don't realize shadow work needs to be done. So you just the puppet string.
Because you don't know that these things are holding you back. You
don't even see it; they're invisible to you.
Yeah. Like,
and the things that we butt heads with people about or fall out with people about is the very things that we need to address for ourselves, that could be like holding us back from moving forward in so many different, levels and shit. Yeah.
Right. Man. I mean, it's just
that's
it's a massive, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's a massive. I mean, we can do this for a long time, but we just wanted to open up and let people who don't know about shadow work and how they can, and you can like start with why. Just start with why. You can, if you ain't never asked it, ask it now. Just ask yourself like, why did the last situation make me mad? Really, like, not. Don't tell yourself because they said this. Why is what they? Because it tripped me out. Because you could be called bitch in one scenario and be your mind doesn't flip and crazy, and then another thing, you act like as if the bitch triggered a hypnosis act and you're a raging animal now. Like, you know what I mean? So like, why not ask yourself these questions? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Catch.
Yeah,
consistency.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so what? So, and don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid that it's going. Don't be afraid of the changes it may cause. Because a lot of I have a podcast about change, and a lot of it deals with fear of change. And it's like, don't let the fear of change or losing people and this and that.
Chances are, if you feeling that way, you growing. Like, if you feeling uncomfortable and you in that change, you're like, oh, this is awkward. Nigga, you on the cusp of growing. Like, you growing. Keep at it. Or whatever the hell has got you uncomfortable and out your element right
now. Stop living in your comfort zone. Please. I'm learning that by going to the gym and everything. Like, I've read a lot of books. I'm not even going to say a lot. I've read a few books that have
mentioned. I still relish over the jewel of that interview. What is it called with the devil?
Oh, Outwitting the Devil.
Man, listen.
If you ain't, it's by
That's a book that
Napoleon.
reverberates.
Napoleon Hill. It's by Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil.
That book
If
was
you-
like an acid trip. Like the effects
Bro.
are still.
Yeah,
bro.
I'm telling you, that got me. That
Such a
got
good
me
book.
here, bro. Like that got like. If you, it tells you how if you don't nurture certain things, it will fester inside you into certain things like jealousy, envy, and stuff like that. And this is the same thing we saying about shadow work. Like if you let that shit fester, it turns into why you're
flow of it. You're drifting.
Exactly,
You're
man.
just drifting in it.
Please, man, if you ain't got a chance to check out that book, check it out. If you ain't had a chance, check out some more of my podcasts. This is my brother, Joe Jellicle. Did we get everything out? I don't want to leave nothing out, man.
Man, there was so much. Like I couldn't.
We can't say nothing out because we can talk forever. But I'm saying for today.
Down the road, yeah, because shadow work is expansive, it's progressive, it grows just like you do. So,
but
it can be a saga.
I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you guys for tuning in and opening yourself up to just the concept of shadow work.
Shadow work. Thank you for tuning in. Hockey! And I'm out.